everybody, my name is Amanda N, and welcome back to my channel. I love exploring creepy, unsolved mysteries, but I also love true crime. I actually recently stumbled upon Bailey Sarian's channel, and she's just become my new favorite YouTuber, oh my gosh. I listen to true crime cases a fair bit, and I've noticed that a lot of them happen in Alaska. Not a lot that are necessarily on her channel, but just a very disproportionate amount of, homicides are in Alaska. So I wanted to know what it is about Alaska that attracts crime. So sorry if there are any Alaskans listening to this. You've got something going on up there. But I wanted to talk about it because it caught my attention, so we're just going to dive right in. So to start off, I know why so many people in Alaska stay missing. That's not hard to understand. As one reporter in The Atlantic put it, when someone goes missing in Alaska, search areas can be as large as entire states in the lower 48 and considerably more treacherous. Alaska encompasses 39 mountain ranges, 12,000 rivers, 100,000 glaciers, and 3 million lakes. The mudflats can be like quicksand. Ice and snow can erase a person's last traces. Landslides, avalanches, fissuring glaciers, overflowing rivers, and collapsing riverbanks all make travel unpredictable at best. Everyone I met there seemed to know of people still missing or unfound. So, okay, we understand why missing people may be a pretty common occurrence there, but it doesn't explain homicides. So let's dig a little bit deeper into what's going on up there. So with that said, the violent crime rate in Alaska is 8.9 incidents per 1,000, which is more than double the national rate of 3.7. The people in Alaska experience more crime in the past year than the rest of the country, physical assault being the top fear there. Again, sorry Alaskans, but what is going on up there? Plus, the number of Alaskans who reported experiencing a violent crime in the past year actually jumped from 8% to 22%, almost tripling, so this is only getting worse. Plus, Alaska is a really horrible place to get attacked in the first place, not just because of the terrain. There are at least 75 Native American Alaskan villages that don't have any law enforcement whatsoever, according to the Washington Post anyway. Isolated by long distances and difficult terrain, those residents must report crimes and wait for Alaska State Troopers to arrive in the village after hours of traveling. Unfortunately, there are places in rural Alaska that if a woman is raped or a child is beaten, that victim might not get any help whatsoever. This was said by Associate Attorney General Tony West himself. It can take a day and a half before responders show up to the scene of a crime or to a call for help. Imagine if you were a victim of violence and you can't get help because weather conditions don't allow you to get out of your village. Where are you supposed to go? You have nowhere to go. Native Alaskans make up 61% of sexual assault victims in the state, even though they make up just 15% of the population, the New York Times reported in 2012. Nobody knows for sure why Native American women are so vulnerable to rape. Some experts blame alcoholism and the breakdown of Native American family. This is honestly not the answer that I was expecting when I went digging trying to better understand why this happens, but it's an unfortunate reality that Alaska is such a dangerous state for women, especially natives. Apparently, 59% of adult women in Alaska have experienced intimate partner violence, and yet the courts don't seem too eager to do anything about it, judging from their past actions. An article from USA Today in 2019 read, 3 years ago, Linda Skeek, then 32 and a mother of 3, disappeared in Anchorage, Alaska's largest city. Within 2 weeks of her disappearance, prosecutors charged Thomas, now 37, with her murder, alleging that he killed his wife in their apartment, disposed of the body, and brought cleaning supplies to cover his tracks. On March 28th, a jury acquitted Thomas Skeek. Defense attorney Emily Cooper told jurors that the state couldn't prove Linda Skeek was dead, let alone that Thomas killed her because there was no body. But during the trial, Senior Assistant District Attorney James Fayette pointed to a history of explosive arguments between the two, which neighbors often overheard and which were described under oath as including violent threats from him. He argued that no one but Thomas even had a motive to kill Linda, who wanted a divorce. Needless to say, this really piqued my interest. It certainly provides a good foundation for understanding why missing people are not only far more common an occurrence in Alaska, but why things may be overlooked, why bodies may not be found, if cases are being mishandled, ignored, or brushed aside because they could just be another hiking incident, or they can't really be proven. The place that many of these people vanish has even earned its own name, the Alaskan Bermuda Triangle. The Alaska Triangle connects the state's largest city of Anchorage in the south to Juneau in the southeast panhandle to Barrow, a small town in the state's north coast. Here is some of North America's most unforgiving wilderness. The area began attracting public attention in October 1972 when a small private plane carrying U.S. House Majority Leader Hale Boggs, Alaska Congressman Nick Bike, I might be saying that wrong, an aide Russell Brown, and their bush pilot Don Hans seemingly vanished into thin air while flying from Anchorage to Juneau. For more than a month, 50 civilian planes and 40 military aircraft, plus dozens of boats, covered a search area of 32,000 square miles. But no trace of the plane, the men, wreckage, or debris were ever found. So, is it really hard to believe that Thomas may have been able to hide Linda's body? But that's still not all. Since 1988, apparently more than 16,000 people have disappeared in the Alaska Triangle, and another 500 to 2,000 go missing every year. For a massive state with a relatively low population, I mean, is it any wonder that this appears downright strange and how this area earned its name? I get the terrain is horrible, but geez, maybe people should just move away. This is insane. There's quite a few strange cases as well, ones that have baffled people for years. One case reads that Jael Tiara Hamblin was out having dinner with her roommate, Kendra Vincent Estrada, on the night of October 11, 2014. The pair's respective children were being looked after by Kendra's mother. They got home, and after Kendra went to bed, Jael decided to go out again. That night, she was rejected by a man she liked and texted a male friend in the early morning at about 1:40. Her last text message would be sent just over 2 hours later. Estrada found her roommate's bed the following morning, unmade, and her car in the driveway. Kendra texted Jael throughout the day, texts that would go unreceived, as Jael's phone had died that night. 5 months later, her purse was found buried in the snow just outside of Anchorage. That last text message and her black purse, covered in months of snowfall, is all that Jael Tiara Hamblin left behind. Today her case is being investigated as a homicide. Hamblin's adoptive mother recently filed for custody of her grandson, Joel. There's far more information about this case online, but it's strange how some of it doesn't add up at all. Some of these cases don't make any sense, let alone the sheer quantity. Investigators have said that it's unlikely Jael placed the purse there herself, since the weather that night that she vanished was well below freezing and she didn't enjoy hiking. As we mentioned before, unfortunately, a lot of people that go missing too are Alaskan natives. One of the things that inspired me to write this at all was that a few days prior to now, as I'm recording this, 4 people have gone missing in Alaska, and an article came out about it that the disappearances aren't even related. Which, yes, it's a good thing. It means that there isn't a serial killer, but it's equally alarming to me anyway to think that the terrain is that dangerous or that there's that many separate killers out there. Anyway, here is what the Post said. According to a missing persons bulletin, 34-year-old Willis Derendoff arrived from Huslia and was living at the extended stay hotel off Old Airport Way. He has not been heard from since November 10th. Volunteer search coordinator Peter Captain Jr. said many have joined the effort to find Derendoff. We have extensively searched around Fairbanks and Laslo locations, he said. We have had some big mass searchers, and family and friends continue to search. Captain Jr. said a recent raffle raised money for the search effort, including a private investigator who's working on the Darendoff case, as well as those of 3 other Alaska Native people missing in the area. Frank Miano, Debbie Nicktoon, and Doran Sanford all went missing while visiting the Fairbanks area in the same time frame. The possibility has been raised that the missing were victims of a serial killer, but Fairbanks area Alaska State Trooper Lieutenant Jesse Carson said no evidence actually points to that. Again, no evidence has pointed to a serial killer in these cases, but Carson didn't dismiss the possibility of unrelated foul play and pointed to possible contributing factors including alcohol or drug use and transient lifestyle. Carson said friends and relatives of the missing continued to be very cooperative with ongoing investigations. However, one of the reasons that I believe they have to assure the public that no evidence points to there being a serial killer is because Alaska is known for exactly that, too. Alaska is a state known for untouched nature, killer views, and another statistic that we doubt the tourism board will be promoting: the region's very high rate of serial killers. 24/7 Wall Street scoured the serial killer database, which is produced through partnership between Radford University and the Florida Gulf Coast University to determine the state with the highest rate of serial killers. Once you adjust for population, Alaska comes out on top. The state had 51 serial murder cases as of 2014, and this did not include the huge spike in homicides in 2016 that had residents of the city of Anchorage on edge after 9 people were murdered on trails, in parks, and on isolated streets. In November 2016, James Dale Ritchie was linked to 5 of the homicides, including 2 double murders. Ritchie, 40, came to Alaska from Virginia, where those who knew him described him as super intelligent. He was a talented athlete in high school, but his life reportedly began to unravel in 1998 after he was arrested in a drug investigation. He wrote a letter to the judge claiming he lay in bed every night thinking about how I've ruined my life. Then I sat up crying, wishing I could go back to when I was in high school. Other arrests followed for DWI in 1999 and burglary in 2005, court records show, and then he made the move to Alaska. After shooting an Anchorage police officer, Ritchie was killed by cops. On April 26, 2017, Anchorage police announced that they concluded that Ritchie was officially responsible for the deaths of 5 people. Those 5 murders counted among what was a record number of killings in Anchorage alone in 2016, 34. Some experts believe that the privacy that Alaska offers is one of the most appealing advantages of the state for many. Unfortunately, this same solitude can also attract people who are running from something. Experts have speculated that long hours of darkness for many days out of the year could also be a factor, as well as the vast areas of wilderness that can be used to dispose of bodies. Also, according to the Washington Post, there are at least 75 Native American Alaskan villages that don't have law enforcement, so when a crime happens, they have to wait, sometimes hours or even a day as we mentioned, for troopers to arrive. Another element that's specific to Alaska's population is the huge number of seasonal workers, due to the need for staff in oil pipeline construction and logging, which also attracts a large number of sex workers to service the largely male population. So, all in all, I'm really curious what you guys think of this, if you think that the terrain could maybe be a contributing factor. I've visited Iceland a few times myself. I love Iceland. I have a friend there, and she says that it's just a common known fact that everyone in Iceland has depression because of the weather, because it's so dark there all the time. Everyone has depression, everyone has a lot of mental disorders, or at least it's very common there, is, what she said, of course. I'm sure she's exaggerating to some extent. So I'm curious if you think that the terrain, the solitude, the darkness, if that could perhaps exacerbate these things. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you're curious for me to do another part on this, maybe talk a little more in depth about one of these cases, then let me know that as well. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!